Down goes Denver. An injury-riddled Wolves side just sent the Denver Nuggets to Cancun. Oh, my goodness. We've got a lot to talk about here. I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Happy to have you all here. If you haven't done so yet, double check. If you haven't done it yet, hit the subscribe button. All right, let's take a look at this. There's a ton of things that happened in this game. But first, just big picture. What the hell, Denver? What are you doing? It's the Wolves without Ant, without Dante DiVincenzo, who's got his foot up wrapped in the giant cast because he had surgery out there on the court. By the way, if Dante DiVincenzo off of Achilles surgery can be out there on the court supporting his teammates, yeah, KD is just looking worse and worse for not being out there a few games ago for the Houston Rockets. But nonetheless, Dante DiVincenzo not available. Anthony freaking Edwards not available. Ayo Dosunmu. What did he put up? 43 points the other night? He wasn't even available. And the Minnesota Timberwolves, with a phenomenal home crowd behind them, send the Denver Nuggets packing. Send them home. The best offense in the NBA put up 98 points. 98 points. In a do-or-die situation. They scored 30 in the first quarter, didn't touch 30 again after that. 37, they didn't shoot bad percentage-wise. 37% from three, 45% from the field, 13 turnovers. None of that's necessarily that bad. 80% from the free throw line. But the Minnesota Timberwolves able to get enough stops on the Denver Nuggets. Cam Johnson, can't complain about him. 27 points. Nikola Jokic, 28, 10 and 9. And after that whole incident, the fighting thing with Clark, somehow the Nuggets wound up +1 free throw attempt out of that whole mess. Jamal Murray, apparently if he's not playing the Lakers, the magnets turn off. 4 for 17 in a do-or-die winner-go-home game. 12 points for Jamal Murray. Meanwhile, you go look at the Minnesota Timberwolves. Look who's starting. Mike Conley. Mike Conley is 51 years old, everybody. Mike Conley is 51 years old, and he started this game for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Terrence Shannon, who was phenomenal. Oh, my God, so fast. 24 points, 6 boards, 1 assist, 2 steals, 34 minutes. Talk about stepping up. We talk about players who get opportunities, and when you get an opportunity, you got to be ready. Terrence Shannon said, here's my opportunity. I am ready. 24 points. Yeah, he was 1 of 7 from 3, but boy, the one he hit was a big one. 9 of 20 shooting. Rudy Gobert, who did work on Jokic all series, 13 boards. How about 8 assists? The passing for Rudy Gobert was phenomenal. Our old friend Julius Randle didn't even have a great game. 6 of 17 shooting, 4 boards, 5 assists, 4 turnovers. Not so great from Julius Randle. Naz Reid, 15 points off the bench, 7 boards, 4 assists, 7 turnovers. How did you pull that off, Minnesota? How the hell did the Minnesota Timberwolves just get through a game? 7 turnovers. Julius Randle had 4. You got through a game without Ant, without Dante DiVincenzo, without Ayo Dosunmu. 1, 2, 3 primary ball handlers gone, just erased. And you get through the game with 7 turnovers? That's some damn good work. That's damn good work by the Minnesota Timberwolves. This team wanted this game, and they went out there and took it. And by the way, everybody, we're going to talk a little bit about the Knicks' absolute demolition of the Atlanta Hawks to obscene levels. Obscene levels. More obscene than anything that would have occurred had the Hawks actually gone through with that whole Magic City endorsement night. My God, what the Knicks did to the Hawks tonight, I think is illegal in most states. And we'll also talk about the 76ers hanging in there against the Boston Celtics. But, the playoff picture shifted. Now, it's San Antonio, the first second-round series now set in the Western Conference. Wolves, Spurs, we'll see if the Lakers or the Rockets survive to take on the Thunder in round 2. Boy, I'll tell you what, though. As this comment says, you guys should have been rooting for the Nuggets. Denver's a better matchup for the Spurs. I was. I put it out there on X a few hours ago. Check my timeline. I was rooting for the Spurs. Oh, I'm sorry, for the Nuggets. I was rooting for the Nuggets in that game. Why? Because I thought Denver, San Antonio would be a more interesting series because Denver was at least closer to being healthy. No Ant. DiVincenzo may not even be back next year. We don't even know. Torn Achilles? No Ant, no DiVincenzo. Maybe Ant can come back midway through next series. Maybe. Had that nasty hyperextension. I would assume we'll see where that goes. Denver's closer with Aaron Gordon being kind of iffy. Maybe Peyton Watson could come back. Denver was closer to being healthy. So I was rooting for Denver. And part of that, too, was I wanted to see that series go to 7 because these two teams, man, they hate each other. The Wolves and the Nuggets, they hate each other. I wanted to see a game 7 in that series. So I was rooting for the Nuggets in this one. But even coming into this, hoping the Nuggets were going to win, I can't deny what we just saw the Minnesota Timberwolves do. I mean, hey, hats off to them. The Wolves, my goodness. That's the way you get it done on your home floor. That's the way you get out there and you're missing guys, next man up. You're missing guys, next man up. Grit, toughness, energy, outwork your opponent and make the Denver Nuggets tap out. And that's exactly what the Minnesota Timberwolves did in this game. So again, I wanted to see Denver win. Bravo. Well played by the Minnesota Timberwolves. Very deserving of advancing. This is the second year in a row. The Wolves, as the 6th seed, have advanced past the 3 seed. Last year was against the Lakers. The Wolves 2 years in a row knock out as the 6th seed, the 3 seed. And now it's Wolves Spurs next round. Now, do I give Minnesota much of a shot against the Spurs? No, I don't. No, I think the Spurs are going to be more than fine, especially because Minnesota is injured. But you know what? The Spurs would probably advance either way. I thought Denver, if they were playing their best, could take the Spurs. I thought it would be at least be a very close series. I don't see Minnesota beating the Spurs, but you know what? Regardless of what the next round would look like, Minnesota deserved to advance. Minnesota earned going to the next round. There's no denying that whatsoever. Minnesota earned going to the next round. They were absolutely phenomenal. Minnesota's not going to be a cakewalk for the Spurs. Yeah, they may not be. I'm not saying that. I don't think the Spurs will not advance. I think they will advance. But I'm not saying, but the fight Minnesota showed tonight, they're going to be a pain in the ass to play against. That's for sure. Nuggets are frauds. I mean, this team, you know what? Give credit to Jaden McDaniels. Said they're all bad defenders. What did Jaden McDaniels do tonight? Series on the line. Jaden McDaniels, killer instinct, because Minnesota doesn't want to go back to Denver. They don't want to go back to Denver for a game 7. Jaden McDaniels, killer instinct. Said, we don't want to go back to Denver. We're not going back. Coach, play me 45 minutes. I don't care if we only have 8 guys. Only got 8 guys tonight. I don't care. Play me 45 minutes. 32 points, 10 boards, 3 assists. Woo, what a performance from Jaden McDaniels, who's very quickly coming into his own in this league. He is coming into his own in this league as not just a high-level 3-and-D role player anymore. Now he's taking that next step. Now you're seeing him getting in the paint. Now you're seeing him finish at the rim. Now you're seeing him. He just won a playoff game as 1A for his team. Jaden McDaniels just got a win to eliminate the Denver Nuggets, to eliminate Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray as option 1 on his team. 25 shot attempts for Jaden McDaniels. Option 1 was not Julius Randle. It was Jaden McDaniels. And Jaden McDaniels just went out there and beat the Denver Nuggets, beat Nikola Jokic, beat Jamal Murray. And again, you give credit to all of the Wolves. It's a team sport. But Jaden McDaniels, my God, talk about stepping up. Again, Jaden McDaniels, Terrence Shannon, big games. And Jaden McDaniels has come a long way. And to the point where you got to wonder, is it even worth it for the Wolves? Should they trade there was talks about this, that they were in on Giannis at one point. Should they even consider trading McDaniels for Giannis right now? Is that something they should really do? Giannis is great. Don't get me wrong. And if you told me in a vacuum who's the better player, Giannis, of course. He's Giannis Antetokounmpo. But Giannis is 32. Giannis is 32 and making $60 million. Jaden McDaniels making half that, less than half that. And he's 26. And you got him under contract for 3 more years at 26, 28, and just under 30 million. I don't know. If I am the Minnesota Timberwolves, I'm thinking twice. Not saying that McDaniels is better than Giannis. He's not. But I mean, when you add in the math of it, if I'm the Wolves, I'm not tinkering with that. I'm making moves around the edges, adding pieces as needed, of course. I don't think I mess with Jaden McDaniels. You've got one of the best value contracts in the NBA right there. Got one of the best value contracts in the league. Really, really incredible. Good job. Well played by the Minnesota Timberwolves. Again, I was rooting for Denver, but I give them a lot of credit. I give the Wolves a lot of credit for what they did. Murray was getting picked on. Yeah. Not Jamal Murray's best game. Not Jamal Murray's best game. Jaden backed up his word. Yeah, if you're going to talk trash, back up your words. And Jaden McDaniels did it. He did just that. Got to give him credit. Got to give him credit. Curse of the 3 seed in the West. What does this mean for Jokic's legacy? I don't know. I talked about it a little bit, last night on Lakers Nation. I don't really worry so much about players' legacies or whatever, how they stack up or anything like that, or compare. Oh, well, this player made this many playoff series and this many MVPs. Or these guys are all great players. Jokic is still a great player. Doesn't change that. Getting bounced this round doesn't change that. I'll tell you what, though. I'll tell you what did change Nikola Jokic was that injury. The counting stats were still good, but he just wasn't the same dude after the injury that he suffered earlier this season. Just wasn't the same. 28 points, 10 assists, 9 boards. I mean, look at it and go, yeah, that's a Nikola Jokic game, but the turnovers really started to become a problem for him. 4 turnovers in this game. You go back and you look at some of the previous months, 2.5 turnovers there. Look at that. He had a 10 turnover game against Memphis. That was in a loss. That was a bad loss to a bad tanking Memphis team. 10 turnovers in that one, 4.3 turnovers per game in the month of March. Just he started getting out of control with that stuff. Do I think this is like the end of Jokic? No. And I think Jokic will bounce back next year. He's an all-time great player. This one series doesn't take that away from him. This, to me, this is more than like this is some anchor that's going to weigh down any praise for Nikola Jokic or something like that. This is more give credit to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Give credit to the Wolves for what they've done in this series, for the grit, the toughness, for the bark that was backed up by their bite in this series. Give credit to the Wolves more so than this takes away from any kind of greatness of Nikola Jokic or anything like that. Now, was Jokic good? No. And by the way, I thought Jokic let himself get rattled. I thought Jokic let himself get rattled. You saw him lose his cool a little bit. Grabs Clark. What's going to happen if he gets kicked out of that game? What if both he and Clark get kicked out of that game? What happens then? What happens to his team? Wasn't thinking in that moment. They went home anyway. But Jalen Clark getting tied up with Jokic, and Jokic grabs a hold of him? What are you thinking? As a team, it's not a great look for Denver to lose to Minnesota, to an injured Minnesota squad. I'm just not going to make it this big detriment. I know a lot of people would love to hear that, this takes Jokic out of, he can never be top 10 all time, or he can never be top 20 all time. I don't know. I don't really look at all of that, but this is a Nikola Jokic that was not at his best. I think this is interesting, though. I appreciate the super chat. Said, how do you think this affects the Nuggets' approach to the offseason moves, especially when it comes to Watson? Yes. So that's where we need to get here. So We talked about this. We talked about this a lot, that some teams were going to get bounced early, and those teams would be ripe for doing something drastic. So we talked about specifically the Houston Rockets. We talked about the Knicks, the Cavs, talked about the Magic, the 76ers, all these teams. Should they get bounced early, they would be teams that the environment would be right for some type of drastic change. And maybe that means they give up a little bit more than they wanted to go after a Giannis and drastically reshape their franchise. Miami is in that boat as well. Maybe they decide, we're going to go look into trading for Kawhi. Maybe that means they're going to trade away some players. For example, let's say the Wolves have gotten bounced. Do the Wolves then say, is now the time to break up the Gobert, Randall, Nas trio that takes up so much of our cap space? From the Nuggets side of things, now if you're Denver, you just got bounced by an injured Wolves team. Didn't look particularly good. Your offense, which was good all year, can't come through in the big moments here. And right now, you're looking at that Christian Brown contract and saying, man, this is rough. Christian Brown, 28 minutes, 3 points. 28 minutes, 3 points. And he's making next year $21.5 million to give you 3 points. The next season, 23, then 25, then 26. There's 5 years left on this contract. This is next year. This column right here, this is next year. It's not this year. There's 5 years left on this deal. And so if you're the Denver Nuggets and we're talking about what are you going to do moving forward, this may be the catalyst that ultimately breaks up Denver. Do you start looking at things and say, you know what? Aaron Gordon is great. He's a great defensive piece for us, but he can't stay healthy. He keeps getting hurt. What's the future going to look like here? What if he gets hurt again and we're paying him $35 million? What if that player option suddenly becomes an albatross at the end of this deal? Maybe we move on from him. What about Brown? Is anybody going to take that contract? Probably not. And then what do you do with Peyton Watson? Do you shed a salary just so you can match an offer on Peyton Watson? Look, Donnie and I talked about it. Keith and I talked about it actually earlier today about, Peyton Watson, the Lakers, the Bulls, the Nets, the vultures are circling. They're all keeping an eye on Peyton Watson and ready to come in with offers. Because right now, unless technically, if Denver wants to match any offer for Peyton Watson, they can do that. They'll just be a second apron team. And nobody wants to be that. Nobody wants to be a second apron team right now. We got to assume, which right now, $10.4 million above the first apron, and that's before they match on Peyton Watson. Just $2.5 million below the second apron. Denver, I would assume they don't want to be a second apron team. So you match on Peyton Watson. There you go, second apron. And that's even if you waive Jonas Valanciunas, who has no money guaranteed next year. That's still not going to be enough. What if Peyton Watson gets 30? 25 at least? Then what? It's a tough spot to be in. So then do you trade, say, Cam Johnson? Cam Johnson actually played really well in this game. 27 points, 8 boards, 3 assists, 5 of 10 from deep. Can't ask for much more from Cam Johnson. But do you try to shed a salary just so you can keep Peyton Watson? Or do you give in and say, a team came along and offered, let's call it $90 million for 3 years, and we just can't get there. I think no matter what, the Denver Nuggets, unless they suddenly are willing to pay the penalty of being a second apron team, and I would assume, look, there is one team this year above the second apron, and that's the Cavs. So I would assume that Denver will not want to venture into that territory. A difficult choice is going to have to be made. No matter what. Either you're going to have to pay the price to get Brown off your roster, and that's even with Valanciunas being waived. You're going to have to move Aaron Gordon. You're going to have to move Cam Johnson. You're going to have to then bite the bullet and see if somebody will take Jamal Murray. See if you want to move on from him. I don't think they do. I don't think they dare move Nikola Jokic. They're going to try to extend him this summer. Or you're going to let Peyton Watson go. That's a tough spot to be in. And by the way, let's not forget, Nikola Jokic is extension eligible this summer. I don't think anything is going to change. I don't think Nikola Jokic is going anywhere. He's made it very clear he wants to stay. I believe firmly the Denver Nuggets are going to offer Nikola Jokic a max contract extension this summer. He didn't sign it last summer because he can make more this summer. They're going to give him a max contract extension this summer, as they should. He's going to accept it, and that's what's going to happen. But if, for whatever reason, Nikola Jokic does not do that, they have to trade him. It's the same situation as Giannis. All the stuff we're talking about with Giannis Antetokounmpo about why the Bucks have to trade him, it is the same situation as Nikola Jokic. If he were to say, no, I won't sign the extension, because he can be a free agent next summer. Again, I don't want to, raise any alarms or anything like that. We have no indication that's what Jokic is intending to do. The only indication that we have is that he wants to stay in Denver. I'm just saying, until the paper is signed, till that extension is done, it's a possibility, right? Not expecting it to happen, very unlikely, but he's got to get that extension done with the Denver Nuggets. Denver's going to have some difficult decisions to make this summer. Difficult decisions. If both teams lose or lose first or second round, would you think they would go after Jarrett Allen? And do you think they could be put together in a package for him? What's your take on it? Both teams lose first or second round. Would you think the Lakers go after Jarrett Allen? Okay, so I think so we talk about the Cavs being a second apron team. They may have some interest in not being a second apron team next year, especially if the Cavs, right now, they're up in the series against the Raptors. They're up 3-2. They're a 4.5-point favorite to finish off the series tomorrow in Game 6. But should they lose that series? Should the Raptors come back and win? And even if they don't, the Cavs may have some incentive to shed some salary. Now, they did, I think, increase flexibility by getting James Harden, because Harden has a player option next year at $42.3 million, but he's only $13.3 million guaranteed. He's probably going to opt out, and they're going to come to terms on a new deal. So if they can get him to take less, they'll be able to sign James Harden, open up a little bit of wiggle room there. But if we look at the second apron, the Cavs, as presently constructed, are $210,000 over the second apron already. So that's where things start to get pretty tricky for this Cleveland team. They've put themselves in a much better situation. If you are the Lakers, who has going to have almost $50 million in pure cap space, sure, you could come along and say, hey, we will send back 0 salaries and give you a first, maybe 2 firsts, whatever, for Jarrett Allen. We'll just take that salary off your books. We'll absorb it, and off we go. That could be enough. Hey, we'll even sweeten the deal and throw in Dalton Connect for you. He was good at one point last year. The Lakers could come along and do something like that. A number of teams could. The Bulls could do it. The Nets could do it. They could offer instant salary relief by just absorbing that contract. I do think, though, what's more likely, if the Lakers were to get Jarrett Allen, it would be more of a LeBron says, hey, I want to finish my career in Cleveland. And LeBron says, hey, I want to finish my career in Cleveland, but I don't want to play for a minimum. And the Cavs can't, it's really difficult for them to get to a point where they can pay him anything more than that unless you want to execute a sign and trade. So then you sign LeBron at whatever, $35 million, whatever it would be, 40 million, I don't know. And then you trade him. Now, by accepting a player via sign and trade, the Cavs would be hard capped at the first apron. That would create other issues. It would be difficult logistically to pull off. But that could be a way to get Jarrett Allen to the Lakers. I'm not even saying that's a positive for the Lakers. I'm just saying if Jared Allen were to wind up in LA, it wouldn't just be as a trade for him that I'd be looking at. Maybe he's a piece going back if LeBron says, hey, I want to go to the Cavs. Lakers, I need your help because I need to be signed and traded there. Wolves are going to have a Castle Harper Fox problem if Ant and Io don't play. Yeah. That's the guards on the Spurs. So good. And of course, Wemby, amazing. That's going to be an issue for them. I mean, add in DiVincenzo. That's a tough loss as well. Losing Dante DiVincenzo, that's very difficult for the Wolves in this specific matchup. Lakers need to be like the Knicks tonight. What they did to the Hawks and destroy the Rockets tomorrow. Can't risk Game 7. I mean, we're talking about one of the biggest blowouts in NBA playoff history. What were they? They were up 50, I think, at halftime. At one point, the lead stretched to 60. What the Knicks did to the Hawks was absolutely absurd. 140-89 was the final score. You win by 51 points. So to say that any team to say we need to go win the way the Knicks did, well, that's like saying we need to come back in this game like the way the Lakers did in Game 3 against the Rockets, right? Where we're down 6, 29 seconds left, and the opponent has the ball, and we're going to come back and win that game, right? That's about the odds of doing what the Knicks did. But wow, did the Knicks want to finish that series? Again, we give credit to the Wolves for finishing the series the way they did. You give credit to the Knicks for doing what they did to finish this series. For going out there, they played great, shot the hell out of the ball, obviously, 59% from the field, only 36% from three, but they put up 40 points. They had 83 points at halftime. 40 points. It was 40-15 at the end of the first quarter, 43-21 in the second quarter. The game was over at halftime, beyond over. That game ended, and it was in Atlanta. Hawks fans paid money to see their team get their ass kicked like that. That hurts. That hurts. That reminds me of wasn't it the Mavs and the Suns, Game 7, a few years back? The prices in Phoenix went through the roof. Everybody was like, wow, this is finally it. The Suns are back. It's Game 7. And then the Mavs just went and beat the hell out of them. Hawks fans paid money to go see that. And don't get me wrong, this was a disaster game for Atlanta. The Hawks had a great season. A much better season than I think we would have predicted, especially the run they made late. The trades they made have all the moves they've made. I mean, are we kidding? The Trae Young trade, that's worked out great for them. They've got flexibility now. Jalen Johnson's coming into his own. Nickeil Alexander-Walker. The move that they could get the number 1 pick. They've got the better of the Pelicans pick and the Bucks pick. They've got the better of those 2 picks. Either one of those picks goes number 1. The Hawks have it. The Dyson Daniels deal with the Pels. My God. I mean, the Hawks have got to just have the Pelicans on speed dial at this point. Just trying to trade with them constantly. Because every time they do, it's just found money for Atlanta. So don't get me wrong. Things are very much looking up in Atlanta. Atlanta is a team on the rise, and the last string of moves they've made have all panned out in a big, big way. Karl Anthony Towns, triple-double. Only 12 points, of course, because I took him more than 14.5 points. Only 12 points for Cat. 11 boards, 10 assists, 3 steals, 1 block. He didn't need to score a ton because everybody else was. Great season for the Hawks. Arrows pointing straight up for that team. They're going to get a top pick in this year's draft. They're going to be good. They're going to be good. This is not the end of the Hawks. But the Knicks, they went out there and took care of business. Now the Knicks are waiting. Now the Knicks are waiting for Boston and Philly. And Philly, give them credit. The Celtics have had 2 bad 3-point shooting games in a row. And that, they're so reliant. I mean, 41 attempts from 3. 2 bad 3-point shooting games in a row. 2 losses for Boston. Do I think Boston wins Game 7? Frankly, yeah, I do. I think the shooting goes back to normal when they go back for Game 7. I think they win it. The 76ers go home. I hope that doesn't happen. As a Lakers guy, I hope that doesn't happen. I'd love to see the 76ers move on, but you look what Philly did. Paul George is out playing Jaylen Brown. Go figure there. Joel Embiid. Who needs an appendix? 19 points, 10 boards, 8 assists. Tyrese Maxey. Maximum effort. 30. 5 assists, 2 steals. Edgecombe chipping in with 14. Philly did their thing. Now they had to play their guys 40 minutes for Paul George, 40 minutes for Maxey. Minutes are getting up there. That could be a little bit of a concern as they head into a Game 7. Game 7, by the way, coming up on Saturday. That's coming up on Saturday. So only one day off between. I'm hoping Philly takes it. I don't have a lot of faith that they're going to. Game 7s, unless it's the Lakers playing up in Sacramento, Game 7s tend to go to the home team. As you see, Boston, an 8.5-point favorite in that one right now. Game 7s tend to go for the home team. But never know. Never say never. These playoffs have been crazy. All right, I need to get into a few more of your chat questions, your comments, all that kind of stuff. First, let me pay some bills here. I need to give a shout out to our sponsor. That is PrizePicks. You guys have heard me talk about them. PrizePicks, they do a great job. Link is in the description down below. Use that code HMA, play $5, get $50 instantly. Hey, I was wrong on both Tatum and Cat tonight. So maybe just go against what I said. Maybe that'll be the inverse lane. That'll work. But I look, bounce back game. I'm calling it bounce back game for Marcus Smart. 6 rebounds and assists combined. Yep, Marcus can get there. Bounce back game, baby, for Marcus Smart. Let's go. Then we're going to look here. Tobias. Big time game in Orlando. 26 points, rebounds, and assists. I like this little feature here. We can see how many times has he done it. Yep. He's done it 3 of his last 5. I think Tobias, it's going to be close. You know what? I'm going to say Orlando gets it done. Orlando locks him down. I'm going less than 26 points, rebounds, and assists combined for Tobias Harris. Marcus Smart, we're going more than 6 boards and assists. $10 entry fee when you $30. You guys want to get in on it? Go check out the great app that PrizePicks has. Link is in the description down below. Code is HMA. Play $5, get $50 instantly. And if you're going to play, please do so responsibly. All right. Let me get into some more of your chat questions, comments, all of that here. Appreciate all of you jumping on here with me. If you haven't done so yet, please make sure you do hit the subscribe button on the Basketball Bulletin. You guys know Donnie Freeman and I come in every day talking news around the NBA, all the latest happenings, sometimes even poking a little fun at ourselves. That's what we did today when we looked at some Laker fan crash outs. An ultimate collapse for the Nuggets, James says, especially since this was the best constructed roster around Jokic. Lakers in 6 tomorrow. I hope you're right. They better be ready to battle. So I'll tell you what, that crowd in Minnesota, they were electric. And I'm expecting the Houston crowd to sound like that. I'm expecting the Houston crowd to be fired up, wanting to force a Game 7. Right now, the Houston Rockets, they are feeling it. They're feeling strong. And I think the Rockets they have reason to, but I think the Rockets are coming in expecting to win that game. But you know what has happened in literally every game in the series? It's been the unexpected outcome has happened. The unexpected outcome has happened in every game in the series. That's the way it's gone. Lakers go up 3-0. Oh, they'll close them out. They'll sweep in Game 4. Nope. Oh, well, the Lakers definitely finish the series in Game 5. Nope. Game 1, Lakers have no shot. Nope. Lakers beat them. Oh, well, Houston will bounce back Game 2. Nope. Oh, well, Houston's definitely going to win. Game 3, coming back on their home floor. Nope. If it wasn't this series, I would say, yeah, Houston's got to be the favorite back home. Game 6, they got the momentum. But this series, it's been the opposite of what you would expect every single game. As far as the Nuggets and their collapse, it'd be different. See, the Nuggets have played the Wolves the last few times last few years in the playoffs. They've ran into them a bunch of times. And these two teams, you could tell they're so sick of each other. They're so tired of seeing each other year in, year out. And let's also not forget the guy who constructed the Nuggets, Tim Connolly, who constructed the foundation of this Nuggets team, also built the Wolves. He left the Nuggets job, went to the Wolves, and then built the Wolves specifically to beat the Nuggets. That was the goal. Put together a team, because at that point, the Nuggets were the champs. Put together a team specifically to beat the Nuggets. And now they've done it. And it's worked. And so I think these two teams are tired of seeing each other, but you had your chance. You've got this team, you're Denver. You've got this team that you hate. And you have to play them again. And you're so sick of them. And you can shut them up by going and having them lose a 3-1 series lead. And you have every opportunity to do it. You're facing them game 6, and they are super injured, absurdly injured. And they beat you. That's going to sting for the Nuggets and Nuggets fans for quite a while. They got outworked. They got outworked in game 6. The Wolves just wanted it more and executed better, played harder. Jaden McDaniels was the best player on the floor in a game with Nikola Jokic. Credit to the Wolves. Really impressive stuff by the Minnesota Timberwolves. They were awesome. I don't think they're going to continue to win against the Spurs. I think the Spurs will advance to the Western Conference Finals. I think we're going to get Spurs Thunder. Much I would love to say, the Lakers are going to advance and they're going to upset the Thunder. I'm a realist. I think we're going to get Spurs and Thunder West Finals. And that's going to be a hell of a battle. It's going to be a hell of a battle. How much more likely is Denver to rebuild now? I don't think they're going to rebuild. Rebuild would mean tear the whole thing down, trade Jokic, goodbye Jamal Murray. I don't think they're going to do that. This isn't Seth Rollins coming in saying burn it down. Not happening. They'll have to tweak some things, though. They're going to have to make some difficult decisions. And remember, the Stings knowing, I forgot about this part, Stings more knowing the Nuggets were trying to dodge the Wolves and failed in spectacular fashion. Yeah, I mean, the Spurs were handed a win by Denver. Denver didn't play any of their guys the last game of the season, and the Spurs still found a way to lose, and that pushed Denver into a first-round matchup with Minnesota and knocked them out. Wow. But I don't think that we're going to see the Nuggets tear everything down. I think they're going to have to tweak things. And we already saw the Nuggets a few years back have to tweak things. Remember, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope was a Denver Nugget. And when the new CBA, at that time it was new, came in and they had to make some difficult decisions, KCP was a casualty of that. Bruce Brown, who's back now, was a casualty of that. So we've got some situations in recent years where the Denver Nuggets have had to make tough choices. With Dante out and Io as a free agent, who says no first? JD for Reeves. JD? Talking about Jaden? Talking about McDaniels? I would say the Wolves say no. The Wolves say no. And on top of that, you have to remember, never forget when we're trying to orchestrate these like Austin Reeves sign and trade scenarios, he has to agree to go to that place. So does he want, former Laker, Jaden McDaniels. Does Austin Reeves want to go to Minnesota? Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. But if he does, even if Austin said, oh yeah, I want to go to Minnesota, if I'm the Wolves, I wouldn't trade a two-way wing who plays great defense, is younger, and just took over a game to send Nikola Jokic, multi-time MVP Nikola Jokic, home to turn him into Austin Reeves. I wouldn't make that move if I'm the Wolves. You're not doing that. Austin is very, very good. And Austin, For all he doesn't play defense conversation, I thought he defended his butt off in last night's games, but in one-on-one situations. He was a lot better than people give him. There were multiple possessions where he stayed with Amin Thompson, blocked him at one point. Some off-ball stuff he got lost on, but he's been better defensively than what his reputation is defensively. That's not saying he's a great defender or anything. No, he's not. But he's just better than what the reputation is because people like to exaggerate with stuff like that. But even so, Jaden McDaniels is like a clear, big upgrade because he's a legit good defensive player. Very good. And he's coming into his own on the offensive end. So no, the Wolves would not make that move. Suns game 7 was more embarrassing than the Hawks. 64-win 1 seed, and the whole team was outscored by Luka at halftime. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Especially, do you think Jokic, Jamal, Gordon trio is over? It could be. If that trio could be broken up now in the way, not in the same way as the Memphis trio was, and I'm talking about Ja and Jaren Jackson and Bane. That was more gradually over the course of the last year, basically just under a year, broken up in order to trigger a rebuild, and that's the direction Memphis is heading. I think if the Nuggets break up their core, it's not going to be to rebuild, it's going to be to retool around Jokic. The goal is not going to be to bottom out and lose games. That's not what they're going to do. But I do think the difficult decision they make could very well wind up being Gordon. If not Gordon, it's what do we have to pay somebody to take Christian Brown? It's do we have to part ways with Cam Johnson? Do we have to let Peyton Watson go? Can we at least turn Peyton Watson into a sign and trade? Can we get something done there? That's going to be more the conversation for Denver. So it may not be, if it's not Aaron Gordon, though, it's somebody else. If it's not Aaron Gordon, it's Cam Johnson. If it's not Aaron Gordon, it's Peyton Watson. It's somebody. It's very unlikely to be nobody. It's going to be somebody. I would assume Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic will not be the guys the Nuggets move on from. They're not going to do something that drastic. Trade Reeves for Gordon. Aaron Gordon would be a great fit. If Aaron Gordon was Austin Reeves' age, sure. You could definitely consider doing something like that. But he's 31. The injuries are piling up. And that's the only reason. Just an age thing. Again, if Aaron Gordon and Austin Reeves were the same age and both guys relatively healthy, I think you can have that conversation. But the injuries piling up for Aaron Gordon, the age, and I know Austin didn't have an injury-free season, certainly, but the age would be the issue there. Let's see. This comment said, I do not want this team back next season. Okay. We need at least 6 new faces. No Braun, no Hachimura, no Hayes. Ayton can walk. Vando, please leave and sign and trade Reeves. Okay. You're not getting all those things. I can tell you that 100% for sure. You're not getting all those things. You may get some of those things. You're not getting all those things. And I'll tell you what you're definitely not getting. You're definitely not getting no Hayes. Pretty certain you're not getting no Jackson Hayes. The dude just became a Slovenian, so he can keep playing with Luka more. He shares an agent with Luka. They have a mind meld. The Lakers are Team Luka now. They're not going to part ways with Jackson Hayes. He's a great lob target for Luka. Hayes is a free agent. I think he's been fine as a backup big. Not great in this series, obviously, but on the season, been pretty good backup big for the Lakers. So I don't think Hayes is going anywhere. Braun, maybe. That may happen. But the question is, do you get better by losing him? I don't know. I mean, it depends on what he's going to cost. What will he play for next year? Will he take enough of a discount to allow the team to make other moves around him? If LeBron says, I need $50 million next year, well, all right. That's it. Then your cap space is gone. You're talking about bringing back the same team this year. That's not feasible, I don't think. I don't think that's the path they should go down. You actually operate as an above the cap team and just try to use your flexibility. You in that scenario, if LeBron says, hey, I want $50 million and the Lakers were to give him that, you would operate as an above the cap team. Use the bird rights on Rui. You didn't have to keep Rui using bird rights, or just about anyway. Ayton maybe picks up his player option. We'll see what happens with Smart. Maybe you have an MLE to work with, the non-taxpayer MLE, the full MLE. Maybe it's the taxpayer if the salaries creep up too much. I don't think that's the route they're going to go, though. But Hayes, I think, stays. Vando, please leave. Vando's not leaving. Vando's got, what does he have coming next year? $12.5 million? $13.3 million after that? Dude's not walking away from $26 million. He's not doing that. And they would have to pay somebody to take him. Nobody's taking that salary. So Vando's not just going to leave. He's got a player option next year, I'll tell you already. Spoiler alert, he's picking it up. He's going to pick up that player option. So, yeah, you're not going to get all those things. That's for sure. Some of those things, though, yeah, I think that this team will look different next year. They've got a lot of flexibility. We'll see ultimately what they do with it. There's a few paths, and we'll have plenty of time over the offseason to break down kind of which directions they can go and what they could all look like. But I do think there'll be significant changes. But 6 players gone on a 15-man roster, probably not going to happen. None of the Lakers, free agent Lakers, deserve a pay raise. What they're making is good. Yeah, with the exception of Reeves. Right? Like Rui, I think you got to get Rui $15 million or below. Ayton, he picks up his player option. Smart, I think you could argue does deserve a raise off of he's making almost $5 million, just over $5 million for next year. You could argue Smart should get a raise off of that. Hayes is at 3 and change. If he's around 4 or whatever, you could argue Hayes could get a slight raise. The only one that's like significant, yes, because he's only making $14 million. It's Austin Reeves is the only one where you look at and say, okay, clearly he gets a raise. The other free agents, though, sure, you could make arguments. Like if they were to get contracts for next year, they shouldn't be much more than what they're making right now, if not significantly less. Would you rather LA has to play game 7 and Boston loses, or LA wins game 6 but Boston wins 2? LA has to play game 7 and Boston loses. If I got to pick. Because then you still have a chance. The ceiling play there is the Celtics go home. And then I don't really care. If it's not the Lakers who win, as long as the Celtics are gone, I don't really care who wins it. Thunder wins it, who cares? All right, whatever. They can be annoying sometimes. But that's not the Celtics winning one. So I would take a stress-free remainder of the playoffs. And then the Lakers still have a chance to close it out in game 7 at home. And I would have confidence that they could do that. So that's the home run play, right? That's the home run play. Lakers can move on and Celtics go home. Because I think the East is so wobbly right now that there's a pretty damn good chance that if Boston gets out of this, that they do survive and get all the way to the finals. And I don't want them getting there. It's a gap year. Go away, Boston. I would trust the Lakers to take care of business in game 7. Yeah, that's the thing. The East is wide open. Hate the Thunder more than any other team. Come on, Spurs. Well, then the Spurs record against the Thunder in the regular season would be a comfort. I still take the Thunder to win that series, assuming that's the series we get. But we'll see. The hating game is elite. Hey, I grew up during the Showtime era. Right? Buck Foston and all that, you know? 1 day rest between games, serious concern for the Lakers. Yep. Absolutely is. Absolutely is. They look tired with 2 days off. I was surprised. I didn't think they would look that gassed with 2 days off. I thought, okay, the extra day off that'll get them going. Nope. Wolves and 6 over the Spurs. If that's what you think, put some money on that because I bet you could make yourself some bucks on that one. I would not. I don't have the Wolves beating the Spurs. I have to really dig into the matchup, but I would imagine my official prediction will come in somewhere. Probably be about like, if I say Spurs in 6, because that's kind of what I feel. That would mean Spurs have got to beat the Wolves on their home floor. Could be Spurs in 5. Like, even if Ant comes back, is he 100%? I hope if the Spurs get through, it's Spurs in 7 and we get an awesome series. And I don't want to discount the heart that the Wolves played with. I think they're going to be a pain in the butt to play against for the Spurs. I just think the Spurs are on a different level than both sides healthy. I think the Spurs are on a different level than the Wolves. The Spurs healthy and the Wolves injured, that gap's pretty big, I think. Does Austin Reeves start tomorrow? Yeah. I think he will. He started him second half. That he tipped his hand. Who retires first, Jokic or Justin Herbert? What does Justin Herbert have to do with Jokic? By the way, if this is a reference to something that's been going on in the NFL, I have paid zero attention to it. I don't even know a single NFL player who was in the NFL draft. Zero attention since the Super Bowl to the NFL. I have no clue who's where, any of the storylines. I've been wrapped up in NBA. After the NBA season ends, after free agency, all of that, I'll start getting into football again and getting ready for fantasy drafts and all that kind of stuff. I have no sphere of reference here for anything that's gone on since beginning of February in the NFL. As far, just so everybody understands, maybe this is referencing something. But I do know Justin Herbert, the quarterback. Just saying I don't know if there's anything that's been going on with him over the last few months. I would assume Justin Herbert will play a longer remaining career than Jokic. In fact, about the only thing I know about the NFL that's happened in the last few months is the Mike Vrabel stuff. That's about the only thing I've seen involving the NFL. Unfortunately, maybe that's a sign of our society right now. Maybe that's a sign of on a societal level where we're at. The only thing I know about the NFL is Mike Vrabel and his extracurricular activities. Why did the Lakers trade Jaden McDaniels? Because they weren't Jaden McDaniels. He was not Jaden McDaniels at the time. You know what I mean? Like, he was not that guy. And they got the runner-up for Sixth Man of the Year in that deal. That was the Dennis Schroeder trade when they first got him. Oh, because he gets hit a lot? Oh, I see. I get it. Here's the thing. I think that Jokic. I think Jokic is here for a good time. I don't think Jokic is here for a long time. Like, does Jokic love basketball? Like, he does, but is Jokic one of those guys where he's going to hang around and be in the game for years because he loves the process? I don't think so. I think Jokic is a guy who gets an extension, plays out that extension, plays till 35, and then says, I'm going to go train horses. I'm going to go do my other stuff. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I think Jokic is going to wind up doing. He's not that guy. He's not the guy that's going to be, he's not going to do the Vince Carter where like the last few years, he's like, I'm cool not being a superstar anymore. I'm just going to hang out at the end of the bench, train up the young guys, coach the next generation, that type of thing. That's not, he's not going to do that. He's not going to hang around for a long time. And I don't think it's a very high bar. He's not going to age the same way LeBron has aged, where LeBron's 41 and still phenomenal, still doing great stuff. He's not the same, obviously, but LeBron at 41 compared to LeBron at like 35 or something, but he's still very, very good. That's not going to be Jokic either. Yeah, don't take offense to it. He's not that guy. I'm not saying he's not that guy like he's not a good player. I'm saying he's not that guy that's going to stick around in the NBA for a long, long time. He's not that guy that's going to stick around to 40 just because he has so much passion and love for the process of playing in an NBA game and everything that goes into it physically to get your body to a point where you can make that happen. That's the point. Not that he's a bad player. I've never said he's a bad player. Lakers trade for AD again. I had people asking me about that today. Could they retrade for Anthony Davis? Because there is stuff. In fact, I got an article up right now. I was going to do something on that tonight, and then the Nuggets thing happened. Chris Haynes saying there's a good chance that AD is going to be somewhere else. The problem is his salary is $58.4 million. Like, that's very difficult to fit that salary in. Like, goodbye all of your cap space if you're going to do something like that. I don't see that. I don't see that happening. He's not that guy as a meme. See, that's a reference to a meme. I'm not online like that. I have a very narrow field of vision when it comes to online stuff. I'm Steve Rogers from the 40s, all right? I am very laser focused on basketball memes and stuff like that. I don't follow that stuff. I'm too old for that shit. That's the bottom line. So I appreciate you guys catching me up to speed there. What would be worse, Celtics 3-1 or Lakers 3-1 loss? I mean, Lakers would be 3-0. Lakers would be you were up 3-0 and then lost. That'd be the first time that's ever happened. Yeah, dad jokes only for me. That said, I think you can make an argument for the Celtics it would be worse. Because the Celtics went into the series as a heavy favorite. The Lakers went into the series as a heavy underdog. Heavy. I mean, the Rockets were one of the biggest favorites in the NBA playoffs. The Lakers went into the series as a heavy underdog, whereas the Celtics have been the heavy favorites in the series, in the games. Right? I mean, they went in as a huge favorite in the 2-7 matchup. The Lakers went in as a huge underdog. So that's the only maybe saving grace there. It still would not be great to blow a 3-0 series lead. But you know what the other thing I thought, and I'm going to talk about this on the Lakers Nation pod for tomorrow. Go back in time, a week and a half or whatever, when the series started. Go back in time, go to any Lakers fan and say, the Lakers are going to be up 3-2 in the series. And Austin Reeves is back. Luke is not back yet. But the Lakers are going to be up 3-2 in the series. And Austin Reeves has just come back. Any Lakers fan would have celebrated like crazy. Any Lakers fan would have taken that in a heartbeat. So when you look at it from that perspective, change your think. That said, the Rockets do have all the momentum right now. The Lakers offense has sputtered the last 2 games, 2.5 games, really. So when you add in that context, it's important. But if you could time travel back to a week and a half ago or so and say, hey, they're going to be up 3-2 and Austin Reeves returned from injury, you feel pretty good about that situation. Do I think Keith is nervous? I don't know. I haven't talked to him, but I'm sure he's not happy about what happened with the Celtics. I'm the same thing. He's probably thinking the same thing I am, though, which is they had 2 bad shooting games in a row. They're probably not going to have 3 bad shooting games in a row. People saying D'Lo's numbers were better than Austin Reeves. Do you have an opinion on that? People can say whatever they want. I think the loud anti-Austin stuff is weird. You could say all you want, like, more than happy to criticize him and criticize his game and all that kind of stuff. And it's just weird how many people just think and it's just a very loud group. I don't think it's a majority group, but think that he's just this awful, terrible player and has no game whatsoever and all of that, and are just looking for every opportunity to absolutely trash this guy. I'm like, what did this guy do to you? What happened? Why is there so much hatred for this play? And it's like, again, it's kind of a weird, like, subgroup. Hey, like, you want to say, oh, I'm not comfortable with him getting max money. No problem. No big deal. There's fair and just criticism out there. I'm not talking about that at all. It is a very reasonable opinion to say they shouldn't pay him more than $30 million, or they shouldn't pay him more than $25 million, or whatever, or to talk about his turnovers, or talk about his defense. Hey, he struggles with these situations. He's good here, but not good here. I'm here all day for those kinds of conversations. That is absolutely no problem with that. Criticize the guy's defense all you want. Criticize, does he ball hog too much? Should he have passed in certain situations? Should he have done this? Should he have done that? 100%. Does he need to put on more muscle? Does he need to get stronger? Does he need to be more able to defend in the post? All of that. There are people out there that think this guy is like the worst thing ever. And I'm like, man, what is it that he did? It's confusing. I don't fully understand. No issue. He's not the greatest player ever. He's not the best guy on the team. It's not what he is. He's a good player. Worked really hard to get to where he is. He's got flaws in his game, and those flaws can certainly be discussed and criticized and all of that. Absolutely. And I've done that a ton. It's just surprising that there's, gymnastics that are being done to just absolutely trash him. It's strange to me. It's strange. And yeah, we want to say, hey, he struggles against athletic teams, all that, totally fine. It's more the extreme, like, this is the worst player ever type stuff out there. Just bizarre. So Austin stats compared to D'Lo's stats, I have no idea. I have no idea how those look. I know he was good his first playoff run. I know he was not good in the playoffs last 2 years. Last year especially, he was bad. I thought he was good in last night's game, aside from the shooting. The shooting didn't feel as bad because he was 4 for 16, but 3 of his misses turned into DeAndre Ayton tip dunks because Austin pulled out Sengun, and that gave Ayton, and that just all Austin had to do was get the ball up on the rim. So I thought for his first game back, coming back as early as he possibly could from an injury in a situation where he had no incentive, he's got free agency coming. The only thing he can do is hurt his value. To come back the way he did, I give him credit for it. I thought he played well. Didn't shoot great, but other than that, I thought he played pretty well. So I don't know. I don't have, was it a perfect game? No, but it was his first game back from an injury, and I give him credit for getting back out there, and I thought that he played pretty well. I thought he got downhill, got to the rim, and I think he's a benefit to the team. Now, does that mean give him max money? That's where things start to get dicey, right? Got to be careful. Got to be really careful if you're the Lakers with this next contract. Got to be careful with that. But yeah. Like I said, I don't get the overall just hatred Yeah, it comes down to how much. Look, if you tell me Austin gets maxed, I'd be nervous about that. That could flip into a negative value contract. That could definitely flip into a negative value deal. He's gotten better every year, but yeah, if that's a max salary, that's what, and it doesn't hurt their spending power this year. But I'd be careful with that deal. I'd be careful with that deal, and that's where the Lakers just got to work with him, work with his agents, figure things out, try to see what's going to work for all parties involved. Tommy said Lakers fans love AR, Braun stands hate him. Why? And I'm legitimately asking, why do LeBron fans or stands hate Austin? Like, LeBron was literally the guy who told the Lakers to bump him up to a full roster spot in training camp his first year, who told the Lakers, oh, no, this dude's legit. We need this guy. LeBron's been the guy that's been pushing Austin Reeves for years. Yeah, exactly. It's Skyfire. LeBron loves Austin Reeves. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, that is strange. Don't agree that Austin's story is a reason to keep him. No, you don't keep a guy just based on story alone. Talking about, coming up through the draft and wanting to be a Laker and all that kind of stuff. No, you don't keep a guy just because of story. No, I was talking about, when I talk about that, it's more the connection with fans. Like, isn't that the kind of thing that fans have been wanting for ages? So anyway, which was more annoying as a Laker fan, 2000 Spurs or 2000s Pistons? 2000s Pistons, because Lakers were in the finals and they were the heavy favorite and then lost to Detroit. It would have been another championship there for LA. So I would say Pistons. You played the Spurs more often, obviously, but the Pistons stopped you from getting another title, like directly in the finals, stopped you. You can make an argument for either one, though. Love Austin, but always wanted him as our sixth man in the back of my mind. He'd be a great, like, if you had a dominant set of defensive wings or something, Austin would be a killer six man. I think it's a little bit below his pay grade when you look at what he is as a player and his ability to score the basketball. He was legitimately one of the best pick and roll players in the NBA on the season, one of the best finishers at the rim in the NBA on the season. So it's a little bit below him, but man, that would be, if you had a team that was good enough, that had enough high quality players, that Austin, I mean, that's kind of what OKC has, right? Like, that quality of team where Austin Reeves is like legitimately your sixth man. Man, that's a killer team right there. That's a killer team. That would be like you've got a prime. Well, I mean, people reference the Ginobili situation all the time. Yeah, but you need like a prime Danny Green and Kawhi defensively on at your 2 and your 3 in order to make that make sense. If you could have that, oh man. All right, everybody. Speaking of which, I don't want to turn this all into Lakers discussion and everything. I do need to go record the Lakers Nation podcast for tomorrow. Getting ready for game 6. That's obviously going to be a big one on the road. The Denver Nuggets fall. They're done. Season over. Minnesota moves on. Minnesota against the Spurs. Thunder waiting on the winner of Lakers Rockets. We'll see if that goes to game 7 or not. We also saw the Hawks get bounced tonight by the Knicks. An incredible, historic performance tonight by the Knicks. And the 76ers live to fight another day. Day after tomorrow, we get the 2 greatest words in sports. Game 7. Celtics 76ers. We'll see if we get game 7 of Lakers Rockets. And we will see if we wind up with a game 7 of Pistons Magic or Cavs Raptors. Thank you again, everybody. If you haven't done so yet, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. Appreciate all of you for jumping in here. Kind of last minute, decided to throw this together and jump on. But again, appreciate everybody that's come over here to the Basketball Bulletin, been hanging out here, talking hoops. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't. Till next time, see ya and stay safe.